Yes, second row.
Yeah, Andrew Carey, Church of England newspaper. What I'm hearing is that sort of represent an overturning of Lambeth 110 that homosexual practice is incompatible with Scripture. Are you now saying that any interpretation of Scripture on homosexuality is equally legitimate?
The study of the way we use the Bible is not meaning to suggest that at all. The study of the way we use the Bible is to get an international set of principles that help us honour and respect the Bible as the written word that reveals God's living word, Jesus Christ. It's not meant to preempt or take a position such as the one you suggest. It's meant to help us all work out what the high common ground is when we approach the Bible.
Archbishop Rowan has made it clear to all the bishops in his letter of invitation that he is not intending or anticipating that this Lambeth conference will revisit Lambeth 110. Do you want to add anything, Gerald, to that? No, okay. Yes, sir, down the back.
Yeah. So this question is, I'm sorry, Matt Kennedy from Stand Firm in Faith. This question is for Dr. West. Would you say that the writer of the book of Jude was wrong when he said that just as Sodom and Gomorrah, I'm quoting from verse 7 in that book, just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued a natural desire serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire? Do you think he misunderstood the context that you were talking about?
No, because if you look at how the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is picked up anywhere else in the Bible, not only in Jude, every single time it is picked up as about injustice, inhospitability, and I think what Jude refers to there is male rape.
Sexual immorality word?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Yes?
Yes, Louise Brooks from Integrity USA. Yesterday in his presidential address, the Archbishop said that the Bible calls us as Christians to push the boundaries. And I'm wondering if you could talk about how this process has equipped our bishops to push the boundaries towards inclusion.
Gerald first.
I think that the experience that bishops have had in the Bible study groups has, as I said, enabled them to begin to understand each other and how they arrive at the kinds of interpretations they do. And although it's the beginning of a process, I think it is the beginning of a process of understanding which should enable the church to be more, to open its boundaries and to be willing to hear those with a different perspective.
From Rome, Vita Cattolica. Among the points that you have highlighted for reading the Bible, I think that it lacks one which is central in the Anglican tradition, which is tradition. And so it's very synchronic, but it's not diachronic way of reading the Bible. And so that can also jeopardize the ecumenical dialogue. So what is your answer?
I would say that that's a very, very valid point. I would include the tradition in my image of the roof. I think the church holds the tradition, the church is the steward of the tradition, and in that sense the overarching canopy contains the tradition, which is the church and its accumulated experience over 2,000 years. But thank you for making that point.
Gerald, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I think that's what I meant by the ecclesiatheological framework. I think what is significant about this Lambeth, though, is that it's allowing the historical theological framework that you refer to be interrogated by the theological frameworks that have emerged in the churches of the missionary project, if you like. And I think that's what's very exciting about where we are at the moment. So, for example, the missionaries and the Anglican Church came to South Africa as part of an imperial and colonial project. But South Africans have both received that and engaged with it. And I think the Anglican Communion is no longer what it used to be. It's something else. And this Lambeth is taking that seriously.
you. Second row.
Yes, Hans Eiger from Virtue Online. I have a two-part question. First, is it your sense that there are widely different understandings of biblical authority within the Anglican Communion? And if that's the case, then how can you apply the Bible as a standard to matters of sexual ethics if you can't agree on this foundational principle of the Bible?
Gerald first.
I don't believe that it's widely different. I think it's claimed that they're widely different. But I think that the same things are going on, and as I mentioned, in terms of these principles. The same things are happening. Everybody in the Anglican Communion has got their own process of making sense of the Bible. And people who claim that their way of making sense is taking the Bible more seriously than someone else, I think is just trying to talk more loudly or stamp their foot more firmly. I really don't think, if we really interrogate how people use the Bible, that there's that much difference at all. I think there's a common commitment to place ourselves under Scripture, to be shaped by it, to hear its voice with its own integrity and authenticity.
In the 39 Articles of the Church of England and of the Anglican Communion as a whole, it makes it very clear that the Holy Scriptures are our generic or prime or key source for all our teaching, learning and understanding, and we're not meant to proclaim or do things which are contrary to them. And I don't think that the Anglican Communion will be departing from that position.
George.
Bishop Monson, I'm a little confused about the New Zealand process that you outlined, and you said, where does the consensus of all of these studies lead us in understanding the gospel? What's behind my question is that the 1998 Lambeth Conference, Archbishop Carey made it quite clear that the onus was on those who wish to change the received teaching to make their argument. Am I understanding you to say, we're no longer doing that, we're saying all arguments are equal and we're going to build a consensus from that? Has there been a shift in how this is understood?
No, I think we're going back to first principles, which, as I said before, we've never done before at the same time across the world. Going back to first principles about the way we use the Bible. So it's neither one nor the other. I think it includes both in that sense. We want to see what the Spirit says to the church under the authority of a scholarly use of the Bible.
The fourth person identified was Ruth.
Thank you. Could I, Ruth Bledford from the Times, could I please ask both speakers their views on the Archbishop of Canterbury's essay, The Body's Grace?
Familiar with it?
I don't recall it quickly enough to make...
Gerald?
Not familiar with it.
Sorry, Ruth.
Ask me a question about the Bible.
The cameraman.
That was a question about the Bible, and I'm very surprised that you're not familiar with it, someone in your position.
There you are. The cameraman.
The cameraman, Anglican TV, Kevin Paulson, a question way over yonder. Can you tell me, in your own words, what you think of Lambeth 110?
That was a question to Gerald. Did you get the question, Gerald?
Yes, I heard the question. To me.
Yes.
I don't have a clear position on 110, personally.
Thank you. Short answer. Another question right up the back.
Has the Church historically been somewhat negligent in terms of the rate of theological education in different parts of the world? Is there an implication that actually the understanding of Scripture has advanced more quickly in some places than others, and that tension is now sort of coming home to roost? What are the thoughts of the speakers on that?
I think you've raised an important point, and it's certainly one that I think should be taken forward. If you take the South African context, the Bible was used to support apartheid, to perpetuate apartheid, and the Bible was used in the liberation struggle. So we've inherited a particular way of engaging with Scripture, recognizing its ambiguity, that the meaning of the Bible is not self-evident, and that therefore we have to contend and struggle together to find ways in which the Bible can be life-giving.